There's an old urban legend in my town, whispered for decades, about a little girl who never grew up. They say she died in the summer of 1963 during the county fair. She had collapsed suddenly on the carousel. Doctors claimed it was some strange illness, but no one really knew. Her family, stricken with grief, buried her quickly in her favorite frilly pink dress. Some say she wasn't dead yet. The story goes that if you walk alone near the abandoned fairgrounds at night, you'll hear footsteps behind you, soft, uneven, like a child in patent shoes. When you turn, nothing's there. But if you keep going, she gets closer, and if she speaks to you, you must never answer. I used to laugh it off. A ghost in a pink dress? Sounded like small-town nonsense, but curiosity gnaws at you. And one summer night, I decided to test it for myself. The fairgrounds were nothing more than rotting wood and weeds now, the skeletons of rides rusting against the moonlight. The Ferris wheel loomed like a broken crown, and the carousel poles were bent and splintered. Horses frozen mid-gallop with paint peeling from their faces. The air smelled like damp earth and mildew, thick with the buzzing of cicadas. I walked down the cracked pavement, my flashlight trembling in my hand. At first, nothing. Just the crunch of gravel beneath my shoes. Then faintly, behind me, tap, tap, tap. I froze. The night seemed to hold its breath. Slowly, I turned. Nothing. Just empty shadows stretching across the rusted gates. I told myself it was an animal, or my imagination. But when I started walking again, the sound returned closer this time. Tap, tap, tap. My stomach dropped, my throat went dry, and then I saw her. She couldn't have been older than 10, standing a few yards away. Her skin was pale, grayish, with shadows under her eyes. Dirt clung to the folds of her faded pink dress, once frilly, now frayed. Her head tilted unnaturally to the side, studying me with hollow curiosity. "Have you seen my mommy?" she whispered, voice thin and dry, like leaves scraping the ground. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but my legs locked in place. Her shoes scraped the pavement as she moved closer. Soil and worms trailed from her dress. "I can't find her. Will you help me?" Something deep in my gut howled, "Don't answer," but my lips betrayed me. The words slipped out before I could stop it. "No." Her expression twisted, her jaw unhinging far wider than human. Her eyes rolled white, and her voice became a chorus of echoes rising from beneath the ground itself. "Then stay with me instead." Her hand shot out, cold and rough with dirt, seizing mine. I remember her grip pulling, dragging, burying. Darkness closed in. When I woke, the sun was rising. I was lying on the fairground path, throat raw, fingernails caked with soil as though I'd been digging. Around my wrist was a pink ribbon tied in a perfect bow. No one believes me when I tell them. They laugh, say it's just a story, but sometimes, late at night, I hear it again outside my window. Tap, tap, tap. Since childhood, I've had many strange memories stuck in my mind. A lot of them are very unusual. For example, when I was very young, I often saw a creature that looked like a crocodile or a lizard, but had a human face. I was also constantly told that if I didn't eat my food, a boa would crawl down from the attic and kidnap me. I remember hearing noises coming from the attic and being afraid to go up there. These things are very vague in my memory now. I was very little back then, and as time passes, these memories become even more blurred. Maybe all of it was just part of my imagination. But as time goes on, sometimes it becomes hard for me to distinguish reality from dreams. That's probably normal, but putting all that aside, what I'm about to tell now, I'm certain it really happened. I don't want to immediately label it as something paranormal or demonic, because I myself haven't found an explanation for it. To be honest, I don't really believe in paranormal phenomena. I love horror and mystery, but I don't think such things happen often. I don't believe in ghosts, werewolves, or vampires. The only thing I do believe in is demons. I know they exist, but making contact with them, or them with us, is neither easy nor desirable. Anyway, I'll get straight to the story. This happened around 2014, in the summer or maybe spring. There was some kind of holiday that we called Berry Caoba. In my country, Georgia, I mean the country, not the US state, it's quite a common celebration that is still observed today. It's somewhat similar to Halloween. You dress up as barricas, monsters or spirits, and go from house to house asking for treats like church kala, a traditional sweet made of nuts and eggs. This holiday has pagan roots and was celebrated long before Christianity existed. Because of that, my parents, who were deeply religious, often didn't allow me to participate. But that summer in the village, it was just me, my older cousins, and my grandmother. My grandmother allowed me to go out with my friends, and I remember she even bought me a fox mask from a shop so I could wear it for Berry Caoba. So, when it got dark, my friends and I went outside. Nothing special happened at first. We were just scaring each other and asking people for sweets. Then one of my friends suggested we light a bonfire and jump over it. Normally, this is also part of a tradition, but not for that particular day. Jumping over fire is part of another celebration called Chiakokonoba, which is held in a different month. Still, we went ahead with it and managed to light a fire using branches. We were jumping over the fire and shouting into the air, "Devils down, angels up," which is also part of Chiakokonoba. After everyone jumped a few times, it was my turn again. When I jumped, I stepped badly, lost my balance, and fell into a drainage ditch that runs along the roads in my village. I was completely covered in mud, so I went home. After taking a bath, I wasn't allowed to go back out to my friends. Angry, I went to my room to sleep. Back then, when I stayed in the village, I slept on the first floor, where the windows faced the street. In my room, there was one window that was so low that my friends would often knock on it in the mornings to wake me up. My bed was right next to the window, so the moonlight and the street lights from the nearby road would shine directly onto it. I tried to sleep, but I was upset and had been crying, so I couldn't fall asleep for a long time. At some point, my thoughts drifted, and I dozed off. It couldn't have been more than 5 minutes before I was woken by a knock on the window. I wasn't scared. I thought it was my friends, and I even felt hopeful that maybe I could sneak out through the window. Happily, I got up, but when I pulled the curtain aside, no one was there. I thought they were hiding, but when I opened the window and looked outside, the dark street was empty. I even called out a few times, but no one answered. I don't know why I didn't get scared at that moment, but I was definitely annoyed. I went back to bed, and as soon as I started thinking about it, if it wasn't my friends, then who knocked? I became very afraid. I hid under the blanket and tried to sleep again. Cold sweat covered my face, and my heart was pounding. As if the knocking wasn't enough, after a short while I heard a scratching sound coming from under the bed. It soon turned into a steady, repetitive noise. It sounded like someone was lying under the bed and scratching something. I can't describe how terrified I was. I was just a child, and fear felt 10 times stronger. There was also something strange about the environment around my house. There was only one other inhabited house in the neighborhood. The rest were either abandoned or left empty after their owners had died. After some time, I heard the knocking again. This time, I gathered the courage to look at the curtain. It's slightly transparent. People outside can't see into the room unless the light is on. But from inside, you can always see the street. I couldn't see anything, but I could hear that someone was outside. Strangely, after the knocking, the scratching under the bed stopped. I was extremely scared and decided to run to the living room, where my grandmother was still watching TV. I quietly got out of bed and started walking toward the door when I suddenly heard a loud bang on the window. That scared me so much that I started screaming and ran to my grandmother. When I told her everything, she probably thought I was lying and said that nothing like that would happen if I listened to my parents. In short, I don't know what happened that night, but nothing like it has ever happened again, especially after I grew a bit older. Sometimes when I think about it, I feel like maybe my cousins were playing a prank on me. But even now, after all these years, they say nothing about it. They don't even remember that night. I got off work later than usual that night. It was around 11 p.m. and the entire office had already emptied out. All the staff had left hours ago and only the security guard remained near the main gate, sitting quietly like he always did. The building felt different at that hour. Too quiet. The kind of silence that makes you aware of every small movement and sound. I stepped outside and walked toward my car, already tired and just wanting to get home. But when I tried to start the engine, it would not turn over. I tried again and again, longer each time, hoping it would catch, but it did not. After a few minutes, I just sat there staring at the dashboard, feeling frustrated. Then I decided it was not worth it, and I would leave the car in the office garage and bring a mechanic in the morning. I locked it up and walked back toward the gate, planning to call a taxi. Instead, I stood outside for a while, checking my phone, waiting, refreshing the app, but no rides were available, which felt strange for that time. The road in front of me was completely empty. Not a single car passed, not even in the distance. After waiting longer than I should have, I gave up and decided to walk. My house was about 5 kilometers away, not close, but manageable. I had walked it once before during the day, so I told myself it would be fine. At first, everything felt normal. My footsteps echoed softly on the road and the streetlights flickered here and there. The air felt still, almost heavy, but I ignored it and kept walking. A few minutes passed, and that was when I started to feel it. Something subtle at first, like I was not alone anymore. I tried to ignore it, telling myself it was just my imagination, but then I heard it clearly. Another set of footsteps behind me, faint, but matching my pace almost perfectly. I slowed down a little, and the sound behind me slowed too. My chest tightened slightly, but I did not turn around yet. I stopped walking completely, and the footsteps stopped at the exact same moment. The silence that followed felt worse than the sound itself. I quickly turned around, expecting to see someone, but the street behind me was completely empty. Just a long stretch of road under dim lights with no one there, no movement, nothing. I stood still for a few seconds, trying to make sense of it, then shook my head and started walking again, telling myself I was overthinking. But after a few steps, the sound came back. This time, closer, clearer, like whoever it was had reduced the distance between us. I felt a chill run through me, but forced myself to keep moving. My pace got slightly faster, and so did my breathing. I passed a parked car, and without thinking, I glanced at its window as I walked by, and for just a split second, I saw a reflection behind me. It looked like a figure. Close, too close, but the moment I turned around, there was nothing there. Again, no one, just an empty road. That was when something inside me shifted, and I stopped trying to explain it logically. I started walking faster, almost rushing now. My heart beat loud in my ears. The footsteps did not speed up this time. They stayed steady, already close enough that they did not need to. I could feel it now, not just hear it. Like someone was right behind me, just out of sight. I wanted to turn around, but something stopped me. A strange fear that if I actually saw what was there, it would be worse than not knowing. So I kept walking, focusing only on the road ahead. The distance to my house felt longer than ever. Every second stretched out, every sound amplified. When I finally reached my street, I felt a brief moment of relief and almost ran the rest of the way. I reached my door, fumbled with my keys for a second that felt too long, then unlocked it and stepped inside, quickly locking it behind me. I stood there in the darkness of my house, trying to catch my breath, listening carefully, but there was nothing. No footsteps, no movement, just silence. After a few minutes, I started to calm down and convince myself that it had all been in my head, that I was just tired and let my imagination get the best of me. But then I looked down at the floor near the entrance and noticed something that made that explanation fall apart instantly. There were footprints in the thin layer of dust on the floor. Mine were clearly visible leading from the door, but there was another set right behind them, perfectly aligned as if someone had been stepping exactly where I stepped. My chest tightened as I followed them with my eyes expecting them to stop at the door, but they did not. They continued further inside the house, deeper into the darkness. I felt my throat go dry as I slowly lifted my head and looked toward the hallway. It was darker than usual, like the light from outside was not reaching it properly. I stood there frozen, trying to listen, and then I heard a soft sound, a single step coming from inside the house. I did not move another step, followed slightly closer this time. My body felt heavy, like I could not react even if I wanted to. Then from somewhere in the darkness ahead, in a voice that sounded exactly like mine, calm and clear, I heard it say, "You did not look back." In that moment, something cold settled in my chest. I realized whatever had been behind me the entire time had not been trying to catch me. It had been waiting for me to bring it inside, and the last thing I remember is the sound of footsteps again. Not behind me this time, but slowly circling somewhere within the house. As if it was no longer following me, but staying. And when the police later checked the area, they said they found no signs of forced entry. No evidence of anyone else being there. Just my house, my footprints, and an empty space where something should have been, but was not.